नमस्कार र स्वागत छ देखापढी.com मा। म आवाश घिमिरेले लिएर आएको छु एउटा इन्टरभ्यु तपाईहरुको लागि आज। मसँग सेटमा हुनुहुन्छ नेपाली क्रिकेट टिमका कोच मिस्टर उमेश पटवाल। How are days going in Nepal?
Days are going very good in Nepal. It's a bit of hard work, but that's what you enjoy because everything which you come out once you get good work, it's what you're looking for as a coach.
You like the weather here?
Beautiful weather, except for sometimes I don't like the sun coming from Bombay. It's a lot of sweat here, but there is no sweat here, so it's more dry, which is not good for me.
Okay, you came to Nepal as the tournament director for Pokhara Premier League, and you've been Nepal's national team's coach for the past 3 months.
Right.
So how has the experience been so far?
Experience has been very good. I mean, we had a small, I won't say a fall, but it was more of an eye-opener to understand that the team needs something more extra once we didn't qualify for the World Cup. And now what we are planning is that we don't have to have the same fall again. So we are trying to cover all the areas before we again go back to any big tournament.
Right, so that was about Nepal and the team as a whole. Now you've also, after you came to Nepal, you've been the tournament director, then also you were the coach of a franchisee in a domestic T20. How have you known the team, especially the players?
It's been good because I've been with the national players. Some of the players in the domestic cricket are not quite professionals. So the work ethic, even the game sense, which we've been talking about a lot. It's a massive difference from coming from a country which is a world's #1 country, to be frank now, India. They play around 2,100 matches every year. And in Nepal, I don't think they play around 21 match maybe max.
Okay, maybe that's a start because of the domestic leagues. Right, moving on. What was your impression of the national cricket team before your involvement with the national team? Before you came here, what was the impression of Nepal for you?
I hadn't seen much of Nepal cricket because I was pretty busy with a lot of international teams. But because I had met Garendra Malla and 2 more players in Bangalore while I had a South African camp out there. So I understood that there is a lot of work to be done in Nepal. Basically the culture and everything needs to be changed, and the Nepal cricket looks like to be growing, but there is a lot of work to be done.
All right, Nepal recently played the T20 World Cup 2020 qualifiers, but unluckily we did not qualify. In your opinion, as the coach, what went wrong?
There's nothing as cricket went wrong. It's all about the timing. Sometimes the teams don't work everything together. So we didn't do better in all the departments. So it wasn't that there is something wrong with the team or the cricket. It's just that the players didn't perform the best on that given day, and maybe those 2 unlucky days where we had everything not going in our favor, and it can happen to any cricketing team or any cricketing nation. So we don't have to blame people for that. So we just need to understand that we cover all the basic plans, and then once you go back again, we couldn't have those bad days.
And so what our team can learn from this
is that your preparation needs to be at the highest level. So what happened to us is we didn't get the number of preparation we wanted. So maybe that could be one of the reasons, because domestic cricket in Nepal, there is nothing. So whenever there is a national camp, the guys come in 10 days prior to the national game, they prepare for the tournament, they go. Some of the tournaments they perform very well, some of the tournaments we don't perform well. So we got to be very careful about this preparation. We need to make sure it's a whole year plan, not just those 10 or 12 days before any of those big tournaments.
Talking about tournaments, a few years ago Nepal barely had a major tournament. The Prime Minister Cup recently was initiated. So now before all this, after all these franchisee leagues happening, do you still think we need to have more of cricket to be played by the players?
Yes, because if you see the amount of performance done by the local cricketers is nowhere as you compare to the foreign guys who are coming in, and if you see the performances are more of the foreign guys, not from the local guys. So what we have tried to urge the national players is to make sure that they come out as a match winners, even in the EPL, PPL, which we spoke earlier also. It's a habit. You need to make a habit, and you start winning the domestic cricket with all the international exposure, and then make sure that the same thing goes on when they go on the national tour.
All right, so Nepal is preparing to play 2 series, and the squad has been announced just yesterday.
Yeah, we are playing Singapore and Oman.
All right,
series.
so And we have two new faces, that's Kushal Malla and Ishan Pandey, both are left-handed, if I stand correct. Right?
Yes,
So,
both of them.
what's your idea of having two players, two young players and two left-handed players in the team?
We don't look whether it's a left-hander or right-hander player. We just look a player who's good enough to play in the team. So what we saw them in the couple of weeks which we had these guys at the tournament, and we had the feedback as well. So we saw them in the net, we saw them in the camp. They show pretty good, promising youngsters. They have the will to go out of the comfort zone, perform better. So we thought, now why not give them an option? And because Nepal is maybe going after a transition period where you have to move on with some of the players in future. So it has to be more smooth transition. That's why we need to make sure that we start giving people exposure, so that once we give them a specific role or task, they shouldn't have to have any problems.
One of these young players is also a medical student.
Yes, he's doing his MBBS.
Ishan.
Ishan.
So now in Nepali cricket, we have seen as the audience that youngsters who are doing great level of degrees are also feeling to play for the nation. What's your thought on that?
That's a brilliant thing, because a lot of people, once they think they are playing cricket, they're not supposed to study. But I think study makes a very big impact on the guy who's going to play cricket. So it's a very good message to all the cricketers who says that once you start playing cricket, you're not supposed to study, because it gives you an added advantage. So you have always something to fall back. So you don't have too much of pressure. So the performance also, if you see the Pandey's performance would be much better, because he's not only relying on cricket. That could be a very good message to a lot of youngsters who are going to play cricket in Nepal.
Okay. Since you've dropped two players, the inclusion of youngsters means somebody needs to make way out. And since Gyanendra Malla had withdrawn his name, maybe due to personal issues, what's the plan? What was the plan?
The plan was basically we are looking at the SAC games, which is supposed to be under 23 tournament, and we had to be fair enough to give the guys who are going to play the tournament. And if you're looking to have a medal, we need to give them, these guys, more exposure at the international level. And we are going to play India, Pakistan, under 23 teams, which are almost better than the national teams we have. So it would be always good to have these youngsters, those opportunity to play against the best teams before they come and perform during the SAC games.
After missing out on the global T20 qualifiers, how important is the tri-series for us?
Every tournament would be important. We are just not looking at missing on the global the T20, because if you go there and if you don't perform, it's just that one stage we need to be very careful about how you think, how we put across things to the players, because it's not the end of the world. Some of these bigger tournaments in team like India, they would have not qualified for the World Cup. But what they do is they go back and start making their homework. The players, the coaches, everybody needs to start going and doing a better homework, and make sure when they come back again, they don't have the same kind of fall.
Talking about the five-nation tournament, how are you looking? Will you have a different set of players for that time as well, depending upon the performance of the upcoming series?
What we are looking at is we have a set of players on a specific spots in the team, and if they don't perform, we have few replacements. So we are looking at pretty good opportunities with these youngsters, and I think it is we are in a very good position right now. We have few options where we can have to replace people, not because they are failing, but because people are performing better. That could be the best thing.
After 2 months, Nepal is playing the 13th South Asian Games, and how much will these two tournaments make for the national Nepali cricket team?
I think that's the whole idea of picking these two. The team for both the tournaments is most number of these guys will be playing the SAC games, and expecting, obviously you need to expect some medal. So I would be preferring a medal during this tournament. That's what the whole idea is, to pick these two teams where will the same team going to play the SAC games as well.
How much of a difference does it make for a player to play international tournaments in the franchisee?
It makes a massive difference, because the kind of exposure they get, like if you look at Sandeep right now, he's playing CPL. That kind of exposure, that kind of pressure, that kind of media and everything is not going to happen in Nepal for next few years. So what he brings to the team is he brings a lot of experience, he brings a lot of his sharing. It helps the team a lot, and maybe if we can have few more players, like Sompal went for the GT20, it really gives them that kind of advantage when they're going to play against better teams, against better opponents, bigger pressures. They will be able to handle things much better.
All right. For a player, does missing the domestic tournaments to play the international franchisee make an impact on their qualification for the SAC games?
I don't think so, because what we are looking at is we are looking at the better opportunities. So if I have somebody who's playing international cricket, or maybe some international T20 game, which is much better than playing this domestic cricket. So I would prefer him to play the international cricket, and I still give him an opportunity to play for the national team because he's doing it for the national team. Everything we do has to be in the same line as which will going to help the Nepal national team.
All right. Talking about discipline, for the amount I have covered during reportings and from the things I've heard from the players, they say the new coach has strict policies when it comes to discipline. I really wanted to know about that.
I don't think there's anything strict about it. It's about being more self-disciplined. So if you have something written down, you make sure that when you say something, you need to stand by it. And if you don't stand by it, that means you don't value your own self. So if you don't value your own self, you will never be able to perform. And that's the whole idea. It's the culture. We need to change the culture. So if we say that the bus leaves at 7, it's suppose sometimes leaves at like 6:48 or 6:50. It's 10 minutes earlier, which had never happened in Nepal cricket. And because of one or two players, all the others used to suffer. Now everybody is there on time, so everybody is happy because it's a game. It's a team game where you can't look at individual player, whether he's a big performer, whether he's a senior player. When we have a team, there is no senior player, there is no junior player, there is no coach. Even if the coach doesn't come, the instruction to the bus driver is even if the coach doesn't come by the clock strikes 7, the bus needs to go off.
Is there some kind of punishment that you have kept?
I don't believe in punishment. Punishment is not my job. I don't believe in punishment. If you're playing at international cricket, if you're not self-disciplined, I mean any kind of punishment is not going to help you to become self-disciplined.
Also, after your arrival, what changed was media used to get the announced team sheet via email. But after your arrival, we started having press conferences where you announced the team along with the captain.
We thought it is more important to be transparent because if you're going to look at the longer term, it's always good to have more clarity in whatever you do. The transparency is such an important thing. And if you can't face the people who's going to be there, your media or the people who's going to give the feedback, I don't think you should be doing anything which is going to put you ashamed. So I am very clear about that. That's what we changed the rule is you face the people, you answer them right in front of them instead of talking behind the back. So it's the same culture which we bring in the team, is the same culture we want to bring in, whether you go to media, whether we go to press, whether you go to the matches. Even in the team meetings, if you have a problem with some player, you just stand up and tell him straight on his face.
How much disciplined are the youngsters in the team?
Discipline was never the problem of Nepal cricket. I think it was just the culture because everybody just took things lightly. I never had a problem with discipline. So I don't think discipline was ever a problem. Only thing is there was no structure. There is no culture. So we need to have those kind of setups coming in. And once we get the setup in, we never had to punish anyone.
All right. That's good to know. No issues with the discipline in the Nepali team. All right. So your contract here is for now for a short period of time. What changes, in your opinion, do you think you can bring in the team on and off the field?
I'm not looking to bring changes. I'm more important is to understand. For me, it's more about being aware how international cricketer works, what are the cultures, what are work ethics. So these are the few things which I think most of the players are not aware in Nepal. My job is to make them aware. I'm not looking them to change because anything I can change is myself. For them, it's just the guidelines. Each player has an individual, they have an approach, they have a specific way of looking at things. So we would give them specific guidelines and they have to make the changes, not me.
All right. Your focus is on the youth players, right? You even spoke about it that you want to focus on the youth and the grassroots. What plans do you tend to bring in Nepal to find the young talents?
We had a plan, like I could go out with some of the senior players or maybe some senior coaches to different part of Nepal and see, because most of these kids are not exposed to any kind of cricket or any kind of guys who are going to go out and have scouting. And that's what we've been missing. So if we can go out and even find like 2 or 3 players who could be such a big advantage for Nepal cricket in future, why not do it?
So you also tend to go to the rural places?
Definitely. That's what the plan is. Once I come back, we had few options of picking up a specific area where you know that the cricket is much better, and then maybe organize a proper thing and make sure that everybody gets the opportunity.
So if this is on cards, when will we expect it to happen? Maybe after the SAF game?
Yeah, we have a break after the SAF game before the ODI teams comes in. There are 2 ODI series coming in Nepal, so we have a good break between those times, and that could be the best time to go and have a look. And that's the season for cricket as well, so it is the best time.
Let me take you to the World Cup now, 2014, when you were the batting coach of Afghanistan. In that tournament, Nepal beat Afghanistan by 9 runs.
True.
But as of today, Afghanistan stands as a test-playing nation and has beaten teams like Bangladesh and Ireland. But Nepal, have we gone? How further do you see Nepal going from that tournament?
The only advantage between Nepal and Afghanistan is Afghanistan had a board. They made sure that the players were paid well. They had a big culture. For last 2 years, they are having first-class cricket in Afghanistan as well. With Nepal, maybe it's just a bad luck or something. The board's not working for last 3 years. The players have not been paid for so many years. So a lot of people, they come across and ask me so many questions, and I ask them like, do you even know that their players have not been paid for like a year or something? How do you expect them to keep performing? So they go on the emotional side, but sometimes you got to be practical in life. It's very difficult for so many of these players who don't have funds. If they have a family, you need somebody to take care of it. And that's one part I think missing. Sometimes that security part is missing in the Nepali cricket.
Right, so that was Nepali cricket. Now let's talk about the grounds of Nepali cricket, the place where we play. Except for TU, where a lot of matches happen here in Kathmandu itself. We have got Mulpani. There are 2 grounds being built at Mulpani for a very long time. So how do you see those grounds, and how do you see Nepali cricket developing once the grounds are ready?
I haven't seen those grounds. I've been there once on one of the ground, and the facilities would I don't know now because it was almost a year back. So it won't be good for me to comment on those big grounds because I have not seen those grounds. I've been to TU ground. We are making sure that we have the best of facilities. We today furnished the indoor ground. We have the mat and everything, which is amazing. So there's a lot of difference been made with the new sports guy. I think it's made a massive difference.
Okay, so the Mulpani ground, you've been to the upper one or the lower?
I've been to the upper one.
Okay, the lower one is more, it's been completed more as a whole now. Okay. But that's Nepal, I guess. We are doing it slow. That's the problem.
Yeah, maybe because once you get the board, maybe the things will change a lot because the funds which has been restricted right now is with the ICC, and those funds will release. Maybe it will help the grounds, it will help the players. And what happened in Nepal cricket in the last 3 years could certainly change. And the next 2 years, Nepal cricket could be going everywhere. Means they could be having the best of teams, they could have the best of performance. It just happens sometimes. You have to wait for that click which happens. Maybe that's where Nepal cricket is right now. It's like a bomb, and it can go off anytime, and we can be on the world stage.
Right. You also changed the vice captain due to the absence of Gyanendra. It's Sompal now, right? So sorry.
Dipendra Eri.
Dipendra. Sorry for that. Dipendra, what was the reason behind it?
Because we need somebody to take the responsibility. There was some few options we had, but we thought like, why not try a few things? Because it's not that once Dipendra Eri is the vice captain, he's going to be the captain. We have few options. We have Sompal Kami, we have Karan Casey, and there are a few more other captains who can be the team captain. But what happens is we need to have a specific role given to them on the tour. I think right now it would be Dipendra Eri. That's the only idea.
Okay. In the absence of Paras Khadka, who would be able to lead the team?
The 2 guys we spoke about is Dipendra Eri and Sompal Kami right now for me.
All right. So this is going to be my last question to you. Where do you see Nepali cricket in the next 8 to 10 years?
That's what I said to you, because what happens is once the board comes in, we could be on the international stage. It could be the best time for Nepal cricket, where you see a lot of these youngsters coming in. We have been performing very well in the domestic cricket, like the 90s and stuff. But we can just go to the next level once you have some other facilities, some kind of security with the money wise and even the ground wise, which you spoke about. Even the new tournaments, which is like the PPL and the EPL, they are doing a brilliant work. And hopefully Nepal cricket could be, like what people have been talking today about Afghanistan, same thing could happen with Nepal.
Right. So that was my last question. मेरो अन्तिम प्रश्न थियो, तर जानु अगाडि off the records, you've been here in Nepal for a long time now. Have you learned some language in Nepali?
I just keep saying the word Ramro, which makes sense to me because it's
right. Any sentence that you like or you can say?
I'm just used to the word Ramro. It's like Ramro Che, and that's what I feel, because in the team meeting I hear a lot of people saying Ramro Che, and I thought that makes sense.
All right. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
For being part of our history on the very first day.
Thank you.
Dekhapadhi.com team wishes you and the whole cricket team all the very best for the upcoming 2 tournaments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for being here.